Hey, what's up guys? True the Barber here back with the Salon Guy. Thank you guys for watching the last video. I appreciate the comments and everything. Here to do something different. Gonna be some scissor action this time, so let's get started. All right, so what we're gonna do today, as you can see, we have a very good canvas to work with. And luckily, my client today, he wants a skin fade. So a lot of you guys that wanna know how to do a skin fade from no hair to some hair, even leaving a weight line, but we're also gonna do a comb over. So I'm gonna start just by clipping the hair up, starting at my base, which is a skin fade like in the last video. We're gonna skin it out at the bottom with a 0, add another level, most likely with a number 1, and then I'll fade up gradually using different numbers of the clips. And his hair go over one way or another, giving a natural line, and I'll show you how to create a weight line also. And what I'm gonna do is add just a little bit of water to add some weight to the hair, just to keep the hair over, because if you see I brush it, it falls right back. So I wanna add a little bit of water and find his natural hairline. I'm gonna brush it this way just to get the water up in there a little bit more. Then I'm gonna comb. And when you brush and you see the hairs start to fall right back, and once they stop, that's pretty much your natural hairline. So I'm gonna take that and I'm gonna clip it off. And when I spin them around, we wanna check this side. I'm not worried about, because his hair naturally grows this way, I'm gonna just brush this forward. Part where the crown is and know that that's what I'm gonna work with. Everything else up top, gonna be scissors. So let's get to work. I'm gonna start low, maybe about a ½ inch above the ear. And just take off pretty much everything below the line. I remember the last video, I had dropped it to, because you have the crown of the head back here. I want to just give the fade a little more room to work with. I go down, straight in with the clipper upright, go down to get the majority of the hair, then I go against it, which will get the hair a little bit closer. Notice I'm pulling at the bottom again to stretch the skin so I can get closer to the hair. So I already know how low I went on this side. I'm just gonna do the same exact thing to the other side. What you do to one side, you do to the other. Brush off as you go along so you can see what hairs still remain. Now that I created a guideline, pretty even on both sides, his hair is it looks thick. When you brush it up, it's a bit thin. So I'm gonna start, instead of with the half, I'm gonna start with the number 1. And then I'll blend it with the open half. So I'm gonna go up about an inch on his hair, because from here, we're gonna create a weight line. So some of that hair is still gonna hang over, but we're gonna blend into it. Now sometimes you're not gonna be able to see under it, but with experience, you'll know how far you've gone up at a certain point. So even though you don't see it, listening to the cut hair is key. And then by touch and feel. And you'll see as soon as I'm done with this, I'll go up with maybe a number 3 guard, and you'll see this line that's not visible right now. Some barbers go all the way up with their base clip as well. I'm not gonna do that. So what I'm gonna do is put the 3 guard on, and then I'm gonna go straight up. I'm not gonna cut into the curve of his head, because then you wouldn't have the weight line. So you go up and you go straight up. And then now you can see the 1, and then I'm gonna blend all that in with a whole bunch of other numbers. Now close the 3 back up, hit the bottom. So the only number of clips in between the 3 and the 1, obviously, is the 2 and the 1.5. So those would be the clips I use to blend all of this out. It's been a while for him, so some of his hair is grown in certain directions, we'll just have to retrain it. All right. Now with this, I'm not gonna go right to the number 2. I'm actually gonna fade from the bottom for a little bit. So I'm gonna throw the 1.5 guard on. I'm gonna open it, not close it, but open it. And then I'm gonna begin to flick out this top line, that darker line. Don't worry about taking out the full defined line just yet. Just get the blend down. So you can see it's already starting to take shape, pretty much in the quickest way possible. So I had it open. Now, I'm actually gonna close it and just stay a little bit closer to the line. As I mentioned in the last video, I've adopted a lot of the techniques that I've learned from other barbers. So I just took a whole bunch of styles and created my own, whatever worked for me. I don't cut like your traditional barber, I'm pretty sure. This is already beginning to take shape. Even though that line looks like it's lower on one side than the other, I'll blend all that out. But now, I still want to work with that. So I put the 1 guard on and I opened it. I'm not worried about any of this just yet. And I'm gonna just hit the bottom of that. What I'm doing is I'm listening for hairs that are being cut. If you don't hear anything, or sometimes there's music in the shop, you won't hear anything. You have to go by eye. But in this case, since it's silent in here, I'm listening for the hairs being cut, but I'm also looking at shaded areas. And I'm manipulating the hair a little more strategically here. And it's gonna be much easier fading the bottom out from here. Depending on lighting and everything, you'll ask your client to put his head down a little bit so you can get up under here and you can actually have a little light hit the bottom of this as well. So I'm pretty much fading down. And then once I get to the bottom line, I'll be fading up a bit. For you, those of you at home that is bothered by that being low, I'm gonna fix that now for you guys because I too get bothered by that sometimes as well. So I'm gonna even this out. Even though I could have just stayed with it and faded into it, I'm not. Now this is gonna be the cool part and the part that I'm sure a lot of you stylists, male or female, barbers or stylists would wanna know is how do you get that bottom line out? So what I'm gonna start with is, since I started with a 0 with the trimmers, I'm gonna take my magic clip and open it. Closed, open. Closed, open. I'm gonna open it and I'm gonna begin to flick at the bottom. Even though I know I could go about midway, I'm gonna see what comes off while I have it open. If nothing, then I can close it up just a little bit. I do want you guys to see this. I notice I'm not going all the way up. That's what the number 1, 1.5 was for. So I'm just cleaning it up. I'm not too worried about the very, very bottom line. Notice I'm brushing. As I do a couple flicks, I'm brushing because I don't want any of the cut hair that is still inside the hair that isn't cut to give the illusion that it's not cut. I just want to see what I'm working with every single time I go in. So notice I'm stretching the skin also to get closer to the hair. I'm gonna do half so you guys can see exactly what's going on. All right, now that I did it open, I'm gonna use what I called in my last video, the raking motion. So I'm not gonna go flat, I'm actually gonna lift the clipper a little bit and use it as like a rake here. And that's to get the hairs that are a little bit higher on the head. You don't wanna keep it down and go with up too much because then you'll have to start a whole nother guideline and a whole nother fade. So instead of a mid, it might be a high fade. You don't want to do that because if the client asks for something specific, that's what you want to stick to. So as you can see, it's pretty blended. And now I'm going to take that bottom line out. So I just close it up a little bit, not all the way, but just a little bit, and start manipulating the bottom line. I have my finger here all the time because I'm pulling the skin down to tighten the skin so you can get a little bit closer and cleaner with the clipper. And as you can see, slowly but surely, and I'm gonna be budging this, I'm gonna be tapping this the whole time. I see longer and shorter hairs as I go along. What I did was just create a nice fade for now. This is not the finishing touch, but I do want to rotate him so you can see the graduated fade that I created in just minutes, okay? And that line is what I worked with just this clip. I mean, this clipper with no clip on it. So it went from that to that. And if you didn't see that side, you would say that's a decent fade. So I'm gonna continue. I'm just gonna finish this side up and I'll see you guys back over here for the weight line. So you got your base fade. I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna clean a lot of this up at the end. But right now, I know you guys, pretty much got the fade down, 10, 15 minutes or whatever it is. Now, I'm gonna work with the crown here, which is the weight line, a little bit of this. I blended it in with the clippers and then blending this side in, and then I'll work with the top. I wanna do this dry because he's gonna wear his hair dry. I know that of my client. Now I wanna work with the thinning shears. And as you can see, I kinda gave a little blend. You don't want it to go straight up or rounded in the head. You wanna give a good shape to this. So I'm using the comb to pull out some hair, and then I'm using these to have the hair fall down and blending as I go along. So now that I'm comfortable with what I'm going to be working with on the side, then I work with the top. So I take the clips out. I am totally unorthodox when it comes to scissors, because I learned scissors about 3 years ago. I had no idea what I was doing. I chipped a few people up, I'd never seen them again, but now it's one of my specialties. So I see a lot of barbers and stylists, they'll come from behind, they'll lift the hair up, and then they'll create their guideline from behind looking forward into the mirror. I wasn't taught that way. Actually I was, but it was easier for me to just look straight on to the client. So I'll have him turn his head just a little bit, up a little bit, and then I'll find my guideline, which is the same exact thing here. So since I know I haven't seen him in about a month and a half, hair typically grows about 1 inch a month. So I'm gonna take off a little over 1 inch. All right, and this is what you call your guideline. This is the length that all of the hair, depending on if they're lightening back hair, if they want it longer in front, you'll be judged off of that. All right, then I'm gonna go back one more level real quick before I move on. Okay, so I pretty much have my front guideline. So what I do personally is I do 3 sections. I do a middle section, a right section, and a left section to match this guideline here. So what I will start with is I'll bring all the hair over this way, redirect it, and then I'll go right in the middle and I'll start right where my guideline is. And I begin to match the rest of the hair with what I just cut up here. So that way it's all uniform. And at the end of these 3 sections, you'll see that some is choppy. They have what's a technique called cross check. Okay? And now I'm gonna do the right side. I did the middle. I'm not too worried about it being so perfect because that's what the cross checking will do. All right? Then I'm gonna do the left side. And I stay on one side of my client all the time. I usually don't spin. I actually just put their head down a little bit or lower them in the chair. Okay, now that I did all 3 sides, that's how quick I do that. I comb everything diagonally now. Not straight over that way, not straight forward, but diagonally from the back left side to the front right side. All right, and then I actually pick up the hair with my comb in that same direction. So that way you get the left and the middle together, blending those 2 sections together. Can never fail doing this. And as I go along, I'll eventually end up with the middle and the right section as well. So I'm just gonna kind of go to work and you'll see what I'm talking about. You can already see as I pick it up, it's pretty much leveled out, but you wanna get the loose ends for sure. Then when I get around this on the right side, I kind of pull up a little bit, do kind of a 90-degree angle because I know I need this a little bit longer because it's gonna be falling over or the direction of the hair will be going over to the left. All right, and I'm gonna spin him around the opposite way, lift his head up, and I'm gonna make sure that the cross-checking is right on this side as well. I'm gonna work with a lot of these front hairs once I put a little bit of product in it and see how it sits. Bam! Clutch. I'm gonna put a little bit of this product in it just to hold the hair over. I'm gonna find that line again. I'm gonna show you guys how to do a hard part and how to create the line without the hair later on covering up your created line. I see a lot of cuts like that, and I wish I knew the barber so I can actually just kind of show them how to avoid that. Whatever hairs fall back over when you comb, whatever hairs fall out of your comb and back down, that's the way the hair grows, that's the way it's gonna be. You're gonna not wanna fight that. So you're gonna wanna find a medium when you create your natural hairline. I see that one still coming. So I think I have all of them pretty much laid down. So I'm just gonna throw another one to make this tight and then create the hard part. So what about this, you guys ask? So look, his hairline is way up there. All of this is new growth. You wanna just chip away at his natural hairline. No, don't create a hairline, just the things that are loose, all right? Now, with a hard part, you want a hard edge, unless they want the weight lines to come over like that. But you can use your best judgment. This is all about trusting yourself, trusting your hand, trusting your placement with the clippers. And it takes time. Practice heads to cut. Yes, sir, and you pretty much have your created line already. Let me turn you this way. So that's where the blade will go. All that'll be blended in. It's already looking much better. So what I'm gonna do now is throw the clips back in. I just needed to play with the hair myself with my hands to get that line in. I'll take my blade and just start tapping away, chipping away at this. front part first. Mind you, I'm pulling all of this away. I'm pretty good with that. It's time to take out the excess hair. Just be careful not to cut so many of the ones bending out or curving out, because those hairs actually create the fuller look for the top part of the hair. So if you cut those, then the smaller ones will start to grow in real spiky. Using his right side, my left, as your guideline, but then lifting this a little bit, whatever falls, chip away at that, but don't go in too much on the line here. Leave it as natural as possible. That grow back process on a cut like this, not cool. I have a few hairs that fall. Chip away at them so they don't come back later and make the cut look a little jagged. You guys see that, right? That would bother me. So I wouldn't let him get up without doing something about it. Open one, since I can see the length of the hair. All my touch-ups, all my cleanups are gonna be as I spin him back around right before I get him out of the chair. Now that I pretty much blended everything again, if he puts his head down, you'll see the fade is actually smooth in there. Skim the top with your regular shears. Anything that's sticking up like this guy here. Cut it pretty close to the crown so it takes a while to get back. Stragglers, I'm not gonna cut them because I don't want them to stick up later. I'm gonna add a little weight, lay them down. Got your weight line. Hair still coming down. Bottom faded up. There we go. There you go, guys. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, The Salon Guy. Leave some comments below. I would love to hear from you, and I hope this tutorial was good for you. Peace. True.